Test, test, 1, 2, 3, test, test, 1, 2, 3. What's going on, team? It's Ricky with TechBud Solutions. I hope that you guys are all having an amazing Sunday and, of course, happy Halloween. So, for those that are tuning in for the first time, this is our Sunday Stock Talk. This is where we come together every single Sunday, normally at 6:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time here in Arizona. And we come together and break down the top stocks that you guys all see value in. So if you ever want to tune on in to one of these free live sessions, literally just subscribe to the channel, turn on your post notification so you get alerted when it is that I go live. So I'm going to take a couple of minutes to say what's up to the people that are tuning on in. So make sure that if you're watching this live right now, right on over here, you're going to see my little live chat. Any stock that you want me to break down, anything at all. If you have a specific question for me, this is where you ask me a question in real time. So make sure that if you're new to the channel, also do not be afraid to introduce yourself, and kind of just share where it is that you're from. So what is going on? Carlos, boy Carlos here from Miami. What's going on? David, Brandon, Oscar, we got Bozy. What's going on? John, Rizwan, what's up? What's up? What's going on, David? Edgar was on. Tristan, Growing Mindset 27, almost at 1 million subs. I know, so close. So what's going on? Travis, Mike, Wi-Fi boy. We got Mo, Western Coast Lamborghini boy. What's up? What's up? No, Guido Sanchez. What's going on, man? From Minnesota, love to see it. So Gavin from Massachusetts, Ryan, Oscar, Carlos, Zachary, Marlon, Brando, Landon, Adventures. I like it. I like it. So I really do appreciate you guys taking time out of your Sunday and just, tuning on into this session. Let's go ahead, and I'm super excited to break down these stocks for you guys. We have a very, very big week. One of the things that I quickly want to talk about is I talked about it very briefly during our Friday video, especially with the Learn Plan Profit group. NASDAQ market is at all-time highs. So make sure that you're aware of that. The NASDAQ market is at all-time highs. We have made a full recovery from the overall lows of where we were, right, when everyone was freaking out. And now the NASDAQ market has not only surpassed or reached previous highs, but we have now surpassed it. We're now trading at 15,500. Again, this is for the NASDAQ index. So that's actually a really good question. One of the things that I wanted to share with you guys is today we are officially launching Learn Plan Profit 2.0. So a lot of you guys have been waiting for us to update LPP. One of the things that I want to share with you is I want to see a show of hands. For those that are already in LPP, I want to see here, I want to see either a hand, just so I can see that we have a couple of you guys here. But one of the things that I want to share with you is everyone that had access to Learn Plan Profit 1.0 now has access automatically to Learn Plan Profit 2.0. Please give us 24 to 48 hours to be able to fully transition your single account to your next account. One of the commitments that I made when I first came out, so here we go, we have quite a bit of people that are part of LPP 1.0. One of the commitments that I made when I first created Learn Plan Profit was that regardless of, if I update the course and or if I create a complete new one, my commitment to everyone that partook back in 2018 was that we would provide you at no charge Learn Plan Profit 2.0 and all the updates at no additional charge. So I'm super thankful, right, that we've been able to now to make a full-on update. So every single video filmed in Learn Plan Profit 2.0 is brand new, never before seen, and it's in 4K, as well as we have closed captioning both in English and in Spanish. One of the things that I also wanted to share with you is there anything that's going to change when it comes down to the day-to-day tasks, right? A lot of people have been having these questions just because obviously there's a personal change that I've been going through or expected to go through as I'm, my girlfriend and I are expecting, right? I'm about to be a father. So nothing in my day-to-day schedule with Learn Plan Profit or Learn Plan Profit 2.0 is going to change. One of the things that I wanted to remind you is that if you're not already part of Learn Plan Profit, but you want to join, you guys can now refresh your link, right? Refresh your page. And in this video, you guys will get $50 off Learn Plan Profit 2.0. It should be the only link in the description. If you see other links, then again, that's another one. But please make sure you refresh your page right now. And the first link in the description should say Learn Plan Profit 2.0, and it will automatically offer you a $50 off coupon. That is lifetime access. It's a one-time fee. Lifetime access to Learn Plan Profit 2.0 and all the updates. It's in 4K. It's closed captioning in English and in Spanish, and I can promise you the videos are just so much different than in anything that you saw in 1.0. So just wanted to make sure, since I knew a lot of you guys would have that question, that I cleared that up for you. So other than that, if you guys have any questions, you guys can message me on Discord and or feel free to message me on Instagram. But again, the link is in the description, and LPP 2.0 is now live. So I will wait until at least tomorrow for Learn Plan Profit 2.0. So assuming I have, you correct? That is correct. So if you already have access to LPP, just give us at max 48 hours and we will transition your individual account to have access to both accounts. So, and you don't even lose access to the previous one, right? So that was my commitment to you guys. So let's go ahead and get started. So feel free to share your top stock. All right, here we go. So we got Ali with OGN. Let's go ahead and just break it down. It seems like he's very anxious for us to break down this stock. So let's look at this on the day chart. Looking at OGN on the day chart, I don't see this to be a really good deal. This looks like a recent, am I mistaken? Is this not just a recent IPO? No, it's not a recent IPO. It must be the Webull platform that's kind of messing up here, is it? So this dates back to, what is that, March? So let's see. Oh no, it is relatively a new stock, so it did go public. I believe that was in March. It's not a cheap price based off of previous lows and previous highs. We could see that OGN is a little bit more on the overbought side. It's been indicating signs of an uptrend. One of the things that we can see right away with this MACD is that it's losing its momentum. So the MACD indicator is a great indicator in having a better understanding of if something still has continuous bullish momentum. If so, there would be an ascending MACD bar. But as you guys can see, for the past couple of days, OGN has been struggling to indicate or surpass above previous highs at $37.40. You can see that it's been experiencing that resistance level, so that's why we've been seeing that descending MACD. Now, it doesn't mean that OGN has to pull back or that it has to crash. It could still break above. It's just simply not moving in that with that same momentum that it was before. So it simply means that it's losing some of its steam. On the 4-hour time frame, I think we get to see things a little bit more clear. It's great for those that were able to take advantage of OGN at this oversold area. A lot of consolidation here. Again, 37.33 looks like we're experiencing that same resistance level. But one of the things that I always ask myself is, I want to put myself in a position to succeed. And I love that you shared a stock with me that's at least indicating signs of an uptrend, that is showing signs of consistent growth for the past 2 weeks. But one of the things that I need to always ask myself is, what is the opportunity cost, right? What's my upside versus the downside? How much money can I make versus how much money I can lose? And because of how much it's gone up, I see there to be more downside than there is upside. So because of that, the opportunity cost just isn't worth it for me. This isn't a cheap stock based off of previous highs. If anything, it's relatively overbought based off of previous highs. So because of that, I would simply have to say that it just doesn't meet my criteria. So we got Ali. It's more of a long-term stock, not a trade, Ricky, but thanks. Okay, so if your approach were for this to be a long-term play, even then, right? So if it comes down if your intention is to hold it for a long period of time, then yeah, I guess I wouldn't necessarily look at this on the day to day, but I think it's very important to ask the question of when the overbought and oversold levels are, and just making sure that you're prepared for it, right? So if you were to ask the question, when should I buy more? Obviously, it wouldn't be now, as it's more on the overbought side. It would make sense that this thing would pull back, then you can buy at least more for a lower price. I would say that this is relatively obviously a newer stock, and because of previous highs and where we're at right now, I just think it's kind of tough to say that this is a long-term play when it's only been trading for such a short period of time. But I'm excited to follow up, and I appreciate you taking time and joining us for this Sunday stock talk. So let's go ahead and break down a couple more. Also, make sure if you guys are tuning on in, hopefully we earn your thumbs up. So we got Carlos with Roku. Let's go ahead and break this one down. So Roku right on over here, looking at this on the day chart. So how many of you guys know of the Roku platform, right? Or of the Roku service, right? This allows you to be able to stream with this device that you can attach to your computer. If anything, and it's actually just its own streaming platform now. But we can see that we peaked during pandemic conditions, right? So you guys can see that early 2021. Do you guys see the timestamp right here? Early 2021, we peaked. So all of COVID, this thing was indicating signs of an uptrend. It peaked and then it sold off. It peaked, it made overall highs at 490, and then now it's selling off. So the question to ask yourself is, is this a good deal? Yeah, well, based off of previous highs, I'm sure it's very easy for us to see that, yeah, I would love to be able to buy here and sell at 490 or 485 and make 60%. But one of the things that you need to be realistic about is, well, is Roku indicating signs of an uptrend? So a very simple question I would ask you or ask myself is, am I missing out on Roku by not buying it right now? If Roku were to be indicating signs of an uptrend, then yeah, I would be like, yeah, I am missing out on an opportunity. But guess what? What's Roku doing right now? It's selling off. It's trading below the EMA. It's making lower highs and lower lows, and there's no indication of an uptrend. So asking the question, are you missing out on anything? No, right? What we can do right now is, I think a lot of us could agree that Roku is a cheap stock based off of previous highs. So if you see value in it, do things in an effective way. And this is always what we try to empower our Learn Plan Profit members. It's not so much about knowing what stock to buy, but knowing when to buy it, having a reason behind everything that you do, and not just because you can do it means that you should. How many times have you guys ever purchased a stock right away when you come across it, but then you regret it instantly because you see that it's still selling off? Well, what do you think is going to happen? You think that just because you decide to buy, magically the stock is going to recover? No. One of the things that I love to remind everyone is, just like myself and just like you, we are irrelevant to the stock market. Just because we see value in it doesn't mean anything. It's great that you can see value in something, but if it's not indicating signs of an uptrend, then your action of buying is just based off of hope. So what can you do? Well, you can set alerts. You can buy a small portion of it just to have some skin in the game if you can tolerate a pullback, because obviously it can still sell off. And or the most simple thing of all, you can just wait. It pays to be patient in the stock market. So we talked about it, right? We talked about this thing has about nearly 60% ROI. So even if I make 30% of that, I don't have to be a perfect trader, right? I can wait for the break above the moving average, this green line right here. I can wait for this thing to really begin to recover. And even from the moving average to about previous highs, that's 35%. I don't have to be a perfect trader. I don't have to buy it at the lowest price point. How many times, I want to see a show of hands, how many times have you ever, please, I know I've made this mistake so many times, but how many times have you made this mistake where you try to buy at the lowest price? And when you buy at the lowest price and it continues and continues to sell off, all you're praying for and hoping for is for the stock to recover, just so you could sell back at the previous level, right? And guess what? Once it returns to the previous level, you sell it, and then guess what happens? It actually begins to go according to plan, but now you're so emotional and you were so caught off guard because it was originally selling off, that guess what? Now you missed out on that entire play. And that's simply because you didn't understand what to do. This is why it's so of value to understand how to take advantage of an opportunity and knowing when it's time and when it's not. And trust me, if you're saying that this is you, that you've made this mistake, that's amazing, because it means that you're only going to get better. And that's super exciting. That should be super exciting. If it's not exciting for you that you're going to get better, then I don't want to work with you, right? It's that simple. If you think that you have it all figured out, if you think that, it should be easy, this is a stock market. It's a challenging market, but I think that's why I enjoy it so much, because it's the most challenging things in life that tend to follow with the greatest fulfillment. So let me know if you guys agree with that. So let's go ahead, and I really like Roku. I already have my alerts set up right here. So I'm all set up with Roku, and I just have to follow up with it. Let's go ahead and break down the next one. So we got Josue with the ticker call out format, DUG. So let's go ahead and break that one down. GUG. DUG. So, alrighty. So right away, I can see that the direction is not in my favor. So that's a huge red flag. Have you guys ever seen those memes right now that are very popular of like, if he does this, red flag, or if she does this, red flag? One thing that I can share with you as a trader is, well, when the direction is bearish and consistently bearish for a long period of time, this is the day chart. So I'm looking back all of 2020. And for all of 2020, guess what? DUG has been selling off. You think magically, as soon as I decide to buy at $8.83, it's going to begin to recover? That's very naive for me to think, right? A very simple question I can ask you anytime you're questioning if you should buy a stock is, do you want the way that it moves to reflect your portfolio? Meaning that if you look at this, is this something that looks like you want to invest $1,000 into? No, because it sells off over time. It loses value over time. So if the direction is not in your favor, if it's consistently bearish and there's no indication of an uptrend, then what's the point? Are you putting money in it to get lucky? If that's the way that you want to trade, all power to you. That's just not the way that I trade. And this looks like it's been manipulated before. It looks like it has pump and dump characteristics, right? And when the direction's in your favor and you know how to take advantage of those momentum plays, then great. But guess what? We're not even there. It's not bullish, it's not consistent, and it's not indicating signs of an uptrend. 3 red flags that should encourage you to not put money in something that is selling off. Do you guys get what I mean? So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. We got Daniel with GRMN. GRMN. Here we go. So Garmin with, I love these. I absolutely love these. And the reason why is, who loves a bullish stock that sells off due to earnings, right? So Garmin, some of you guys might be very familiar with it, is a very bullish stock, right? This is the past year. This is quite the opposite of the other one. I can see it for all of 2021, right? So in 2020, it sold off due to the pandemic. And ever since then, it's been recovering. All of 2020, 2021, it's been making signs of indication, or showing signs indication of an uptrend. It hit highs of 178. And then guess what recently happened? It pulled on back. Now, let's not think that it has to recover right away, right? But it's at least oversold enough where there's some upside margin. It offers about 25% if it were to make a recovery, but it's not showing signs of a recovery. So what's one simple step that you and I can take for this stock? If you actually see value in this, and if you're someone that has consistently bought in a stock too early and it continues to sell off, I challenge you to do one thing. If you're so certain about an opportunity, I challenge you to set an alert and wait for the actual opportunity to present itself. That's it. I don't want you to overcomplicate it. Sometimes it's the simple things in life that people tend to overcomplicate, and the stock market is no exception. So I set an alert, you guys just saw that on the Webull platform, for the break above 148. I'm going to set another alert if it begins to trade above the EMA, so exponential moving average, around 157. And I'm going to add it to my oversold watch list. This is an oversold stock that was previously bullish. It was consistent, and now it's cheap, right? And it was bullish. So this meets my criteria, but the only reason that I wouldn't buy it right now is because it's not indicating signs of an uptrend. So we can see that it's been making these lower highs and lower lows. It is oversold, and it can begin to recover. But guess what? I don't have a crystal ball. So what do? I set an alert, and if I get alerted that it begins to recover, then I can follow up with it and make more of a logical trade decision based off of what it's actually doing and not what I'm just hoping it does. I think that's the biggest disconnect. It's don't trade based off of hope, but trade based off of what makes sense and what's actually happening. That's always the goal, right? To understand what you are doing, because regardless if you're right or wrong, you can at least learn from your mistake. But it's when you choose to copy other people and or enter a trade based off of hope and it doesn't go according to plan, you feel like you're just, hopeless. And that's necessarily not the case. It's just like you didn't take the necessary steps to set your future self up for success, right? And what happens if Garmin continues to sell off? Well, guess what? The beautiful thing about not being invested in a stock that's selling off is more margin for when it does recover. The more patient you stay as a stock sells off and not being invested, the more money you can make and the better price you can get it for if it begins to recover. All you need to do is have an effective watch list, set effective alerts, and follow up with it when it actually indicates signs of a recovery. So let's go ahead and break down the next one. So let me know what you guys think about that breakdown. Do you think that GRMN is going to be added to your watch list? Upwork, I'm pretty sure that's what it is, right? I appreciate you posting that in the ticker call out format. I really do. So Upwork, same resistance level. If I were to ask you, let me see a show of hands. Let's see who's actually engaging in this live stream and not just asking for me to break down a stock. So where would you see a very common resistance range, right? If I were to say, what's an ideal sell point, what would you say? An ideal sell point for Upwork? Well, based off of previous resistance levels, I think it's pretty safe to say that $62, it gets rejected. $62, $64, right? It gets rejected. But around 62, it's a resistance level. It approaches 62, gets rejected. So guess what? As we're approaching this support level and we begin to see signs of a recovery, then it begins to make sense. 31% ROI is what it offers if it actually begins to recover. Looking at this on the 4-hour time frame, this thing is still selling off. It still has not established signs of a support level. We talk about this all the time with our Learn Plan Profit group. The 3 stages of a reversal. 3 stages, right? What stage are we in right now? We're still in the rejection phase. We're not indicating signs of a recovery. So let's go ahead and set our alert and wait for the actual break above $49. And I love this. I love that you are paying attention to a bullish stock that's consistent, that's a good price. This is a good quality company. It's a well-known company. And it's still selling off right now. So it's not that I have to buy it now, but it's that it's now a time where it makes sense to start paying attention to it. At $62, why would I want to buy it at 62 when it, that's an overbought price? That's not a deal. Who likes to overpay for things? I don't. But now that it pulled back a little bit and it offers 30% ROI, who would like to make 20% of that? 25% of that? Not bad, right? But all it takes is time. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. So, alrighty. So we got Nick with ticker symbols KRUS. KRUS. Alrighty. So on the day chart, we can see that this thing has been consistently bullish, hit highs of $57, and it has been pulling on back. So we're not really indicating signs of a reversal just yet. And this thing has a little bit lower volume. So just with that on the 1 day, 1 minute chart, I think you guys would be able to see it pretty clear. Because of that low volume, I personally wouldn't trade it. And that's just based off of preference. But I see why you're paying attention to this, Nick. I can see that it's showing signs of a potential support level at this moving average. And it's showing signs of a potential, support here. So with where we're at right now, based off of previous highs, it offers about 30%. So I definitely see the opportunity. It just doesn't meet my criteria. And that's okay, right? We can agree with one another with the sense that, yeah, I see why you're paying attention to it. I just don't like the volume. And because of that, I personally would not touch it. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't or that you can't. It just means that we see value in different ways. So I would definitely wait and set the alert for the break above the EMA on that one. Let's go ahead and break down the next one. So we got a lot of people, or I guess it's just one, asking for Starbucks. So SBUX, just so we can get it over with. SBUX. So on the 4-hour time frame, we can see that Starbucks recently experienced a sudden drop, right, due to earnings, and it's very oversold. Oversold doesn't mean that it can't get cheaper. Oversold simply means that, again, it pulled back due to either unfortunate news and or earnings, and that you can get it for a little bit of a better price now based off of where it was before. Starbucks, one of the things that I want to share with you is Starbucks is a great quality company. I think we all know that. It's a very bullish company. It's a company that does very, very well and is consistently indicating signs of an uptrend for all of 2021, right? Now, one of the things that we need to be aware of, right, and be realistic is that Starbucks doesn't have to recover in a week. Starbucks doesn't have to recover in a month. But over time, it makes sense that Starbucks will recover. So before you choose to invest and or trade Starbucks, I would ask yourself a very simple question. What is your intention with Starbucks? Is it to make money now or is it to make money later? Because if it's to make money now, then I wouldn't buy Starbucks because it's not indicating signs of an uptrend right now, right? Very simple. It's crazy how you can almost make sense of what to do and what not to do when you understand your intention. If your intention is to make sense not now but later, don't you think that, because Starbucks is so bullish and because of this recent pullback, that you can buy Starbucks and probably sell it for more later on in the future as it continues to grow in value? It offers 20% ROI just to where it was a couple weeks ago. 20% ROI, not bad. But it doesn't mean that this is a good stock for day traders. It means that this might be a good stock for investors and or swing traders. And it doesn't mean that you can't see value in it while others can. It just means that your intention is different. And this is one of the things that I'm here to empower you to do, is have and understand your intention. If you are someone that is trying to make money now, why are you buying the dip on a stock that's still selling off? If you are someone that's trying to make money in the future, then why are you so focused on trying to make money now? Your focus should be big picture. Your focus should be deals and holding and growing in value over a period of time. So let's go ahead and go on to the next one. So we have a lot of people spamming. Trust me, I see your ticker for the ticker call out. You just have to understand that I'm trying to break these down in a organized fashion, especially when we have people like Daniel that actually take time and post it in the ticker call out format. So we got COF. So COF, here we go. So Capital One. Capital One overall very bullish on the day chart. We could see that it hit highs of 178. A recent pullback looks like it's establishing a potential support level to where it has before. So based off of where we have found a support before, patterns tend to repeat themselves. They don't always have to. But from where we've been before to where we're at now, this thing offers about a 20% ROI. So the question, again, that you could simply begin to ask yourself is this something that you see value in, and or is this something that you could see yourself buying now and making money in the future, right? Right now, Capital One or COF is not indicating signs of a support. It's still selling off and it recently sold off. So you can't expect this thing to recover right away. But what we can do is we can set an alert And once it does begin to indicate signs of recovery, if you're someone that's trying to make money now, then you wait for that alert to go off, reevaluate the opportunity, and then ask yourself, is this something that you want to trade now as it's indicating signs of an uptrend rather than trying to buy the dip on something blindly and hoping it recovers. Do you understand that? It's very simple steps you can take that make a big difference. But what if it continues to sell off? Great. Well, I'm not invested in COF, so why do I care if it sells off? I think the more it sells off, then guess what? The better deal I can get. You shouldn't be scared that a stock is selling off. It should empower you. It should encourage you to, add it to an effective watch list and wait for that opportunity to actually present itself. It's not about what stock to buy. It's about knowing when to buy it and when it makes sense. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. So we got SPOT. What's going on, John? I appreciate you taking time out of your Sunday and joining us. So let's see how many we've broken down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So who's going to be lucky number 10? Make sure, if you guys haven't done so already, to smash that like button. All right, so Spotify. If I were to ask you, is Spotify based off of the 4-hour time frame a overbought or oversold stock? So overbought or oversold? Based off of current performance, right? It just reported earnings. It shot up to highs of 293. Is it overbought or oversold? Is it cheap or is it expensive? Well, based off of the 4-hour time frame, you would say that it's overbought, right? Look at the MACD, look at the RSI. We're trading above 70 RSI. We were trading at above 80 RSI up here, right? And now it makes sense on why it could pull back a little bit. But if you look at this on the day chart, you can see that, well, based off of 387, it's not that expensive. It still has ways to go. And this is why perspective is always super important. To looking at different time frames and asking yourself that same question. Well, if you're investing big picture, maybe Spotify is not overbought, but you have to understand that it's going to take time to get there. But if you're focusing more on short-term swing trades, then yeah, maybe it is time to sell to anticipate a pullback because you understand that a pullback is inevitable at these overbought levels, right? So asking the question, is Spotify a good deal based off of recent patterns? I don't think so. I don't think it's a buy. It's bullish and it's consistent, but I don't think it's a buy. It recently reported earnings, and almost every reaction in the market tends to be an overreaction. So based off of its earnings and how it reacted, it would make sense that as the earnings news becomes less relevant, it could begin to pull back. So making sense of that, looking at the indicators and looking at previous prices, that would make sense. So looking at that, I just wouldn't view it to be the best deal, but I would definitely see why it could continue to indicate signs of an uptrend over a longer period of time. So Snapchat, let's talk about it. I'm going to break down more than 10 stocks. I like writing 10 on the YouTube thumbnail, but I like breaking down more. So PLTR, Snapchat, let's break all those down. So Snapchat, how many of you guys have heard of this application? It's if I'm not mistaken, more popular for like the younger demographic, but Snapchat on the business aspect has been killing it this past year. They've been really improving in revenue, and they've been doing really, really well, right? But they missed earnings because Apple recently upgraded their privacy policy, restricting these applications such as Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Snapchat, Google to track third-party websites, meaning that when they run ads, they can't track you as effectively. So it's not the best thing for a platform that makes money off of selling ads, right? Snapchat just tanked. They tanked 20% when they reported earnings. Now, this doesn't mean that they have to recover right away, but it means that they could recover over a period of time. So if I were to ask you, is this a stock that you want to buy now, and or is this a stock that you want to buy for the future? So if you're trying to make money right now, you're right. Snapchat probably is not a stock that you would want to buy because it probably will still sell off. But if you're looking to make money in the future, then I feel like Snapchat is a stock worth paying attention to. I think it's oversold based off of previous prices. I think it experienced negative news, right? But over a long period of time, I do think that it will strongly recover, right? So because of that, it wouldn't be much of a surprise if this thing actually begins to indicate signs of an uptrend, which is why I set my alert. I would love to buy Snapchat, but guess what? I would love to buy Snapchat when it begins to indicate signs of a recovery, not just buying it because it's cheap, because something that's cheap can always get cheaper. PLTR, let's look at this on the 4-hour time frame. Came from highs of $30, sold off to lows of 23, and is now beginning to indicate signs of an uptrend. I'm not the biggest fan of PLTR. Peter Thiel, which was one of the, he's a very popular venture capitalist. He's, if I'm not mistaken, the CEO behind Palantir and or one of the top executives. He's huge when it comes down to being a venture capitalist. He was one of the original investors, if not the original investor in Facebook. He's a billionaire, right? And he's been doing really, really well, right? When it comes down to this specific company, I just feel like it has not been performing the way that they've been anticipating. It's been struggling. It was really hyped up, hit highs of $45, sold off. It tends to see that the support level around this is around $20 a share, and the overbought levels tend to be around 27. To the higher 20s tend to be a little bit less of a good deal. So when you look at this on the 4-hour time frame, yeah, you can definitely make some margin, right? If it were to make a recovery to previous highs. So let's go ahead and calculate that 12%. But when you calculate how much money you can lose, that's where, again, my opportunity cost flag starts to come up. Asking myself the question, well, how much money can I make versus how much money can I lose? And is this stock the best stock that I can get into right now? And I feel like that is based off of your perspective and or preference. I do think that there's great upside. I love that it's been making this upward staircase pattern. It is now trading above the moving average. It's still holding above the EMA. It's still bullish right now. But if this thing begins to trade below the moving average and or the EMA, I wouldn't be much of a surprise if this thing drops right back down to $20 a share. So it's great as it's bullish, but I wouldn't be very surprised if it begins to pull on back. So let's go ahead and move on to one of the last ones. So Ricky, can you address a stock that seems to be climbing and it seems that it keeps making new highs, new 52-week highs daily? For example, Ford. I'd love to break that one down. Thank you, Brent. So let's go ahead and break down Ford. So Ford has been doing pretty well to my understanding when looking at this on the day chart. And it's a lot of automotives, right? Lucid Motors, Tesla, they've all been doing really well. I guess it's just more of those. I don't think Toyota, let me see. Toyota hasn't been doing the best. It's not doing horrible, but it definitely isn't doing like anything like Ford or Lucid or Tesla. But I wouldn't say there's, it's kind of just like Tesla right now, right? This has been consistently bullish. It's been making higher highs and higher lows, and I think this is great. If your intention is to be an investor for Ford, I wouldn't get too excited, right? Because I don't want you to determine, or how would I say this? I don't want you to feel like you're invincible as Ford is indicating signs of an uptrend, because Ford will pull back. Everything pulls back. That's one thing that you need to understand, is that everything as it aggressively pushes up, the more it ignores a pullback, the harder it drops when the pullback does happen. Pullbacks will always happen. And they're healthy. They're good for the stock. They're good for the company. It allows long-term investors to actually reinvest into their company at a better price, as it's still indicating signs of an uptrend. So I think it's great. I think it's great to see that Ford and Tesla and Lucid are indicating signs of an uptrend, that they're making new highs, 52-week highs. I think that's all amazing. Now, for people like me that aren't already invested in Ford, would it make sense for me to get in right now? Well, no, because it's not a good deal. And by understanding the big picture, I could see that Ford corrects itself, ever so often, maybe every other month or every 2 months or every 3 months, right? But it will correct itself. And when it does, then that's when the real opportunity presents itself. Then that's when I can get in, ride the recovery, and then either decide to hold if I want to stay invested, and or lock in profits, right? So I wouldn't get scared when a stock reaches 52-week highs. I would just ask yourself, what's your intention? Is your intention to trade it? And if so, maybe reducing position size at those overbought levels can be an option. And or if you're an investor behind them, then I wouldn't get too happy, because I don't want you to get too sad when Tesla begins to pull on back. It's keeping that well-balanced mindset. Don't overestimate yourself at your peak, because then you'll undervalue yourself at your bottom. I like that. Let me know what you guys think about that. But let's see. HMBL. So this is an OTC stock. Yeah, I don't trade OTC stocks just because I don't like to pretend that just because I don't do something, everyone else shouldn't. I understand that a lot of money can be made, just like a lot of money can be lost on OTC stocks. They're very risky. A lot of them tend to be pump and dumps where they shoot up for a very short period of time and then they correct themselves. So if you see value in this, I can see why you might watch it, maybe set an alert, but there's no indication of an uptrend now, right? So maybe when it does begin to break out, you can day trade it, set an effective alert, keep a close eye on it. But until then, I just wouldn't touch it. If you're newer to trading and you want to test it out, I would just really encourage you to watch your position size with these riskier plays. You have nothing but time to learn how to trade. So why are you in such a rush to make it happen? You get what I mean? So Brent, I appreciate that. No, I appreciate you taking time and joining us for the Sunday Stock Talk. So CELH. So here we go. Alrighty, CELH. If I were to ask you, is this an overbought or oversold stock? Is this a cheap stock? Let me see a show of hands. Let's see who's actually paying attention. Is this a cheap stock or is this a pricey stock based off of previous highs? Am I getting it for a good deal at $96 or is this overpriced at $96? I'm not saying that it's a bad deal, right? I'm just saying that would it make sense for me to wait and get it for a better deal? And or should I buy now because it's about to take off? I would say that it's pretty safe to say that it's pricey. There's nothing wrong with admitting that it's pricey, right? Not a cheap stock. Based off of previous levels and previous patterns and how it's traded before, it's not a cheap stock. It's consolidating and it can still indicate signs of an uptrend, right? Just because it's not cheap doesn't mean that it has to pull back, but it will. Just like when a stock is cheap, it doesn't mean that it can't get cheaper. So the idea behind this is understanding when to buy it. Well, based off previous patterns, the moving average, do you guys see this? It tends to find a support and then recover from there. It pulls back, finds a support and recovers from there. It pulls back and then finds a support and recovers from there. It pulls back, finds a support and recovers from there. So I would set an alert for the break below and or as it gets close to the moving average. And again, this doesn't mean that CELH has to pull back this week or this month, but it will, just like it always does. Every stock pulls back. There's not one stock that never pulls back. Not one. This is why it's so mind-boggling to me when some people get offended when I talk about a pullback. You know what I think about when someone reacts that way? They're so emotional. They're so emotional to think that their stock can't pull back because that just shows me how much money they have on the line and how uncertain they are about that specific stock that they go against anyone that doesn't see or doesn't have the same agenda as them. The only reason that I talk about a pullback is not to offend someone that's invested, but it's to prepare someone. And it doesn't mean that you have to sell your position or reduce your position size, but it's maybe just mentally prepare yourself so you can, if anything, even buy more when it pulls back and then ride it back for the recovery. And I think that's the difference from myself and a lot of other people. I think that, you guys hear me talk about this all the time. I love with stocks that I'm invested in, I love talking about the risk involved. I will never talk about a stock that I'm in and only talk about how much money I can make without how much risk is on the plate. There's risk behind every trade. So why not talk about it, right? We're all here to learn. We're all here to share ideas. So why not share both sides? I love talking about upsides. I love talking about profit potential, as long as we always talk about the risk involved, or what can go bad and or what can actually happen where it might not be the best plan, but what I can then do to prepare. I feel like it keeps things a little bit more realistic, and it prepares you a little bit more mentally to anticipate those pullbacks. That's the biggest difference. We're not here just to glorify the green days without accepting the red days. So my encouragement for you is surround yourself with individuals that make you the most effective trader and or investor. Not here to discourage you, but also here to keep you realistic about the goals that you set. And I love setting goals, right? With stocks that I trade and or just personal goals. But the biggest thing is making sure that you understand the big picture. We have a lot of people that are just recently subscribing to our YouTube channel, that maybe just recently joined Learn Plan Profit. And one of the things that we're always here to remind you is that at any time you have any questions and or any questions, that I hope that you know that I'm simply one message away and allowing me to assist you or sharing my 2 cents with you. I want you to make sure that you always know that you're never alone. I always respond to my messages on Instagram, and or if you have me on Discord, feel free to message me. Heads up, on Instagram, I only have one Instagram, and I never ask to trade for you. I don't trade Bitcoin. There's a bunch of fake Instagram accounts. Friendly reminder, I only have one. I have 189,000, almost 190,000 followers. That's my only Instagram. So just a heads up on that. But I really, really, really do appreciate you guys taking time and just spending this Sunday with me. I'm super excited for this week. I don't know about you guys, but you know, when people ask me like, how is it that I do this so often? How do I stay so consistent with what I do? And my simple answer to that is I like the challenging aspects of the stock market. I like that the stock market challenges me. It's that simple. I like waking up every morning and presented new challenges. It keeps things fresh. But yeah, just imagine like a job, right? If you're doing the same thing over and over again and it's not challenging, you almost feel brain dead, right? At least for me. And I don't know if some of you guys could agree with me, but the way that I work is I like to be challenged. I like to mix things up, and I like to surround myself with people that push me to be the best version of myself. And that's exactly our goal within our YouTube channel and within Learn Plan Profit 2.0. So, friendly reminder, Learn Plan Profit 2.0 is now live. We have a $50 off coupon that will only be found in this description. So please refresh your screen if you're ready to join LPP 2.0. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. But if you're ready to join our team and watch me trade live as soon as tomorrow, again, LPP 2.0, $50 off, first link in the description. It's a one-time payment, a lifetime access. You get access to the private Discord chat, the full and new lesson library, and of course, the daily live trading sessions. So I will see you all tomorrow at Market Open, or at least for those that are part of LPP 2.0. And for those that are not, I hope that you guys can subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Like always, let's make sure that we